Enlightening speech. I would now like to invite Mr. Muazzem Hussain, editor of Financial Express, to deliver his speech on the book.
Distinguished writers, honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, I deem it a privilege to have the opportunity of participating in this food launching event. I must however admit, first of all, my own limitations to make any comment on the inputs of the book from technical points of view. Furthermore, I must confess in all fairness that I couldn't go through the book entirely because of time constraints during the past few days. However, an hour's time that I could devote last night to getting an understanding about what the book contains and what its theme and messages are has been quite wonderful.
সেটা এখন ওইখান থেকে আপনি নিজে নেওয়ার অপরলে আবার দিবেন কঠিন আর এটা তো মানে আমি যে এই বর্তমান অর্থনৈতিক সাপোর্টটুকুন যদি পেতে দিতাম ওইখান থেকে তোলাই খুব কটা 10টা লিটার উপরে
In a forthright manner on a subject which is of considerable importance for Bangladesh today. All three of them are distinguished Bangladesh in the domain of information technology and software services. The book gives the intent of the valuable insights and into matters, issues and areas that have a critical bearing on a course of work. They are rightly encapsulated in its title, Going Digital, Realizing the Dreams of Bangladesh for All. I will strongly commend their efforts for presenting their views about learning for being leapfrog as digital Bangladesh, the digital future roadmaps and policy instruments to enable inclusive economic prosperity and developments relating to infrastructure, human resource base, investment needs, challenges, opportunities at all in a non-technical, easy-going, understandable language as far as possible with the simplicity of style and form. Having noted this, I would like to suggest most humbly that a translated version of the book in Bengali would have perhaps served a more useful purpose under the given realities of the situation in Bangladesh. It does hardly need any elaboration, particularly before such an audience, why going digital is a priority for Bangladesh. Fast-changing developments are taking place in the world of information communication technology and in its areas, both hardware and software. I understand the government of Bangladesh is committed to it. There is no doubt the political commitment to going digital. But the real challenge is translating this commitment into a reality. I understand, and I've seen the Honorable Finance Minister presenting in the last budget session a detailed report of the government to the Parliament about progress made in areas about going digital. I think government has prioritized these actions, but it needs to review the situation and take reflex actions. Here, the concentration must not be on hardware, it must be on software and I understand on human resource quality. With these words, I would like to conclude. Thank you all.
Requested by the publisher to release the book in its manuscript form. I went through the book, in fact from say page 0 to the last page. And then instead of submitting my written comments, I thought that I would sit down with the authors and then share the thoughts, the views. One of the authors, as you know, is from Dhaka, and the two others normally live in USA. So I had extensive discussions with Mr. Habibullah Kareem, and I'm happy to see that many of my comments they have incorporated in the book. So in one sense, that this book does include some of my thoughts on ICT. Not much, but some of the factual inaccuracies I pointed out. But I'm happy to see that, as I mentioned in the comments which have been printed as a part of the book, that this is perhaps one of the first attempts to reflect in a book on the development of ICT, which has taken place in the last 47 years. In fact, my familiarity with computer also goes back 1964. When I wrote my first program, I landed in England exactly 47 years back, and wrote the first computer program, and then of course worked for 3 years on developing most of the time on computer programs for structural analysis and design. So that was my first introduction. But coming back to the main topic which has been presented in the book, that's Digital Bangladesh. Again, I'm happy to see many of my colleagues who have been closely involved with policy formulation, implementation of the policy recommendation. They are present here. In fact, going back to 1996, Mr. Kamal, you can see we went to India to have a look at how the Indians have developed so rapidly the ICT sector, software, export sector. And we spent a few days discussing with the stalwarts of Indian software industry who kindly shared their experience, and these were reflected in the report which is submitted in 1997. And incidentally, this whole initiative, if I go back to the genesis, how this committee was formed, it was not far from this hall, maybe 200 years to the south of this hall, in the auditorium of Bardem. I was asked to give a keynote lecture on the death anniversary of Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim. Every year they organize a lecture. And the chief guest happened to be Mr. Tufail Ahmed, the Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry at that time. He was present, and I mentioned as part of my speech the problems and prospects of ICT. And he immediately after the conclusion of the lecture, he said that I would like to discuss the details, what the government can do. And that actually led to the formation of the committee. Export Promotion Bureau was asked to form a committee, and then we worked for 3 months. And that was, I think, one of the first attempts in policy formulation to promote ICT, but the focus was more on export of ICT. But our report did include recommendation on overall growth of ICT in Bangladesh, what actions the government has to take. And I'm very happy that the government acted very rapidly on some of the actions. And now we can see that we have the policy which was formulated in 2008 and formally adopted by the new government in 2009, March 2009, which is being implemented. So there have been very, I would say, not as rapidly as we would have expected, but some developments which have taken place. And these are all documented in this book. So anyone who is interested in ICT, not only the historical background, but also how to go about in implementing the recommendations, I think you would find a lot of suggestions, insights into the actions we have to take. And I mentioned in my written comment that the presentation style is very innovative and captivating, I would say, as Dr. Devakya Bhattacharya has mentioned, that it's read through the book, it's a very interesting experience. It's very, they have made it very interesting, the presentation, by creating these avatars of each of the authors, 2021, 2031, and looking back at what developments have taken place. So my congratulations to all the authors. I have known the authors for I think about 10 years. And Mr. Samdani, Dr. Samdani and Kamal Meena have visited me, I think starting in maybe 1999, 2000 when I met. And of course, Habibullah Karim has been an integral part of many of the initiatives, policy initiatives, task forces. So we have worked very closely, and I'm happy to see that they've been able to come up with a very important book. I'm sure though anyone interested in ICT developments in Bangladesh and what is happening in the rest of the world will find it very interesting. And the suggestion raised by Mr. Muazzam saying to have a Bangla translation, I understand the authors are already thinking about it. In fact, Mr. Karim requested me that who would be the best person who can be entrusted with a translation, Bangla translation. So that would be another useful addition. But one important point is, I think someone mentioned about high-tech park. I was involved in a study which led to the preparation of the, I would say, pre-feasibility study. That was done 10 years back. And we have recommended, after visiting a number of high-tech parks in the region, in India, in Malaysia, in Singapore, and looking at the experience of other countries, that we should go about it in implementing using PPP principle. At that time, it was not a very popular word, but unfortunately, the developments have been very slow. Recently, I think the government has started implementing this, but I think we have lost a number of years. By this time, I would have expected some of the global companies, and for attracting these global companies, I think visits by top policymakers. Honorable Finance Minister, I think I discussed with him that whenever he is in USA, he should make it a point to visit some of the top software companies. And as the Indians are doing, it's not only the federal government, central government ministers of India, but even the state ministers. Whenever they are in USA, they would make it a point to visit some of the companies in Silicon Valley, so that to know your presence felt that yes, we are also in the IT industry, because not many people can associate Bangladesh with software industry. My experience is I was present in Comdex Hall in Las Vegas in 2000, and I was sitting in the Bangladesh stall there, and some of the people used to look at the Bangladesh signboard outside, and they would stop. You mean Bangladeshis can write software? And we had to explain that yes, they are not only writing software, but they have started exporting software. So this image of Bangladesh, coming out from this image of a country of natural and man-made disasters into a country which can do well in software development and IT-enabled services, I think this is very important, and this is the responsibility primarily of the government. So, taking the advantage of the presence of the Honorable Chief Guest, I would again urge upon the policymakers to go and visit. It's not only the Silicon Valley, but some other countries who are interested in getting the outsourcing to other countries. And for the first time, as you know, Gartner, others, they have included Bangladesh among the top 30 countries, and they've identified some of the weaknesses. So I think our efforts should be to work on these, eliminating some of these weaknesses in the shortest possible time, so that our position goes near the top of the outsourcing countries. I won't take much time, but again, the roadmap for implementing or realizing the dream of digital Bangladesh by 2021, that is also reflected in the policy, and I hope that if we can take the actions which are identified in the ICT policy action plan, we should be able to reach there by 2021. So with these words, I would like to again congratulate the authors and thank them and the publisher for inviting me to come and chair this session. Thank you.